Greetings. Welcome to another video from me. Today we're going to do a video on Susanna from the Apocrypha. And in this video, it's small, it's only one chapter, but we're going to cover four issues that arise from the incidents that occur in this chapter. One is covetousness, adultery, false witness, and perjury. And I'm going to read some precepts. Also, I'm going to read the Good News Translation. Although it's one chapter, it's clear, so I'll decide then. We'll decide that later on. So with that, Kahalo Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Wahab Kwa Kodash, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Bashem Yahweh Shai, our Lord and Savior. Double honors and respect to the elders, apostles, and prophets, and teachers of Great Millstone, who has taught and is still teaching me this truth. Great respect to the fellow believers, Akim and Akwath, and the elect of Israel, which includes the mixed multitude, and 144,000, remnant of Israel, promised mercy and salvation from our Lord. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just dig in. Okay. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Her parents also were righteous and taught her daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had fair gold, and had a fair garden joining unto his house, and to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year appointed of the ancients of the people, the same year were appointed two of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Lord spake of, that wickedness from Babylon, from ancient judges who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Joachim's house, and all they had any suits in law came unto them. Now when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes, that they might look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. Let me read that again. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. And albeit they were wounded with her love, yet durst not show another his grief, for they were ashamed to declare their lust that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. Now with that, makes me want to bring out another precept right away. Can't get around it. Matthew 5:28. But I say unto you, you have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, let me turn this to red so we can know who's talking. This is Yahushua talking. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery already. And if thy right eye offend, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. So we already starting with these, they're already started in the beginning with adultery, with lust. And these are judges. Let me get back to Susanna. Oh, Susanna. Apocrypha. Okay. So, as you can see, that the judges they were inflamed over Susanna, to begin with. Yet they watched diligently from day to day. And the one said to the other, "Let us now go home, for it is dinner time." So when they were going out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. And after they had asked one another the cause, they acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together when they might find her alone. They already began scheming on her. Yeah. And it fell out as if they watched a fit time. And she went in as before with two maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. And there was nobody there to save the two elders that had hid themselves to watch her. In other words, there was nobody there to convince them that they were doing wrong. But they're judges. They shouldn't have to be convinced. Susanna 17. Then she said to her maids, "Bring me oil and washing balls, and shut the garden doors that I may wash me." And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors, and went out themselves as privy doors to fetch the things she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. Now when the maids were gone forth, the two elders rose up and ran into her, saying, "Behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us, and we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us and lie with us. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee." Then Susanna sighed and said, "I am straitened on every side. For if I do this thing, it is death unto me, and if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. It's better for me to fall into your hands and not do it than to sin in the sight of the Lord." When Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the two elders cried out against her, then ran the one and opened the garden door. So when the servants of the Lord heard the cry in the garden, they rushed at the privy door to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed, for there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband Joacim, the two elders came also, full of mischief, imagination against Susanna, to put her to death, and said before the people, "Send for Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, Joacim's wife." And so they sent. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. Now Susanna was a very delicate woman, and beauteous to behold. And these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. They still in the lust, can't control themselves. Therefore her friends and all saw her wept. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon their head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord. And the elders said, "We walked in the garden alone. This woman came in with two maids and shut the garden doors. and sent the maids away. Then a young man who there was hid came unto her and lay with her. Then we that stood in the corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Then the 70 believed them as though they were the elders and judges of the people. So they condemned her to death. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, thou knowest the secrets and knowest all things before they be. Thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die. Whereas I never did such things as those men have maliciously invented against me. And the Lord heard her voice. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised up the Holy Spirit of a young man, of a young youth, whose name was Daniel, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him and said, What mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, ye have condemned a daughter of Israel? Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned in haste, and the elders said unto him, Come, sit down with us, and show it us, seeing the Most High God, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, hath given thee the honor of an elder. Then said Daniel unto them, Put these two aside one from another, and I will examine them. So when they were put asunder one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou art wicked, waxed old in wickedness. Now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light. For thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and hast let the guilty go free. Albeit, the Lord said, The innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay? Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them, accompanying her? Who answered, Under a mastiff tree. Who answered, Under a mastiff tree. And Daniel said, Very well then. Come here, guys. Come here. My dog just got up. Oh, he's not coming. Sluck. And Daniel said, Very well then, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now the angel of the Most High had received the sentence of the Most High to cut thee in two. So he put him aside and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah, beauty hath deceived thee, and lust has perverted thine heart. Thus have ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear companied with you. But the daughter of Judah will not abide in your wickedness. Now therefore tell me, under what tree didst thou take them companying together? Who answered, Under a home tree. Then said Daniel unto him, thou hast also lied against thine own head, for the angel of the Most High waiteth with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. With that, all the assembly cried out with a loud voice and praised the Most High, and saveth them that trust in him. And they rose against the two elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouth. And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day. Therefore Chelcias and his wife praised the Most High for their daughter Susanna, with Joacim, her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. From that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people. Now let's look at that in the translation. It's probably going to be the same, but it's pretty straightforward, cut and dry. But I want to hear it. Let's see. Susanna, close. Okay, it's only one chapter. Chapters of Susanna 1. In Babylon there lived a man named Joachim, who was married to Susanna, daughter of Hilkiah. Susanna was a beautiful woman and deeply religious. Her parents were devout Jews who had brought up their daughter to live according to the law of Moses. Her husband Joachim was very wealthy. Lively gardens surrounded his house, and the other Jews often gathered there for meetings because they all thought so highly of him. Everyone who had a legal case to present would also go to Joachim's house, where two judges held court. These two leaders of the Jewish community had recently been appointed to office. They were the ones about whom the Lord said, "There is wickedness in Babylon. Judges are failing to give guidance to the people." Every day at noon, when all the people left for lunch, Susanna used to take a walk in the gardens. The two judges were so attracted to her that they would wait around and watch for her. Lucky. They became so obsessed with their desire for her that they lost interest in prayer and in their responsibilities as judges. They each wanted Susanna, but neither told the other how he felt, for each was ashamed to admit his lust. So day after day, they watched eagerly to catch sight of her. One day at noon, they said to each other, "It's time for lunch. Let's go." So they both left and went their separate ways. But soon each one came back for a look at Susanna, and by accident they met each other. At first, each tried to explain what he was doing there, but finally they both confessed their desire for Susanna. They decided to watch for a time when they might find her alone. So they kept waiting for the right opportunity. One day Susanna went into the garden as usual with her two servant women. No one else was there except the two judges who had hidden themselves and were watching Susanna. It was very hot and she decided to take a bath. So she said to her servants, "Bring me some bath oil and some perfume and lock the gate so that I won't be disturbed." The servants locked the main gates and went out by the side doors to get what Susanna asked for. They did not notice the two men. As soon as the servants had left, the two judges jumped out of their hiding place and ran to Susanna and said to her, "The gates are locked and no one will see us. We are burning to have sex with you, so give us what we want. If you don't, we will go to court and swear that we saw you send your servants away so that you could be alone with a young man." "There's no way," Susanna moaned. "If I give in to you, I will be put to death for adultery. If they refuse, you will still have me trapped. If I refuse, you will still have me trapped. But I'd rather be your innocent victim than sin against the Lord." So she started screaming as loud as she could, and the two judges began shouting accusations, while one of them ran and unlocked the gates. As soon as the servants in the house heard all the noise, they ran into the garden through the side door to find out what had happened to Susanna. The judges told their story, and the servants were shocked and ashamed. Such a thing had never before been said about Susanna. The next day, when the people assembled at Joachim's house, the two judges arrived, fully determined to carry out their wicked plan to have Susanna put to death. In front of all the people, they said, "Send for Joachim's wife, Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah." When she was called, she came in with her parents, her children, and all her other relatives. Susanna was so graceful and beautiful that the two wicked men ordered her veil to be removed so that they might enjoy looking at her. Her family and everyone else were in tears. Then the two judges stood up in front of the people, placed their hands on Susanna's head, and began making accusations against her. She was crying, but she stood up to heaven, but she looked up to heaven because she trusted Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. The two men gave the following testimony who were walking in the gardens when this woman came in with two servant women. She locked the main gate and asked the servants to leave. Then a young man who had been hiding in the gardens came to her, and they lay down together. We were in a corner of the garden, and we saw what was happening. We ran over and caught them in the act. We tried to hold on to the man, but he was too strong for us. He ran and opened the gates and ran away. But we were able to hold the woman. We asked her who the man was, but she refused to tell us. We swear that our testimony is true, because the two men were not only leaders in the community, but also judges, that people believed their story and condemned Susanna to death. Then Susanna cried out in a loud voice, "Eternal God, eternal power, nothing can be kept secret from you. You know everything before it happens. Here I am about to die, but you know that I am innocent, that these men are lying. Why must I die?" The Lord answered her prayer and led a young man named Daniel to speak out just as Susanna was being taken away to her death. He shouted, "I refuse to be party to her death." Everyone turned around to look at him and said, "What are you talking about?" Daniel stood up before them and said, "People of Israel, how foolish can you be? Are you going to condemn an Israelite woman to death on this kind of evidence? You haven't even tried to find out the truth. Reopen the case. The testimony these men gave was a lie." So all the people hurried back to where the trial had taken place, and the officials said to Daniel, "God has given you wisdom beyond your years, so come and join us and explain to us what you mean." Daniel said to them, "Separate the two judges, let me question them one at a time." Then Daniel called the first judge and said, "You wicked old man, now you will have to answer for all your sins you have committed." Salaki. "You have been giving unjust sentences. You have just condemned the innocent and released the guilty, even though the Lord has said, 'Do not put an innocent person to death.' Now you really did see this couple making love. Now, if you really did see this couple making love, tell me, what tree were they under?" "Under a small gum tree," he answered. Daniel said, "All right, that lie will cost you your life. Most God's angels have already been given orders to chop you in two." Then the first judge was laid away, and the second one was brought before Daniel. "You are more than a Canaanite, than a Jew," Daniel said to him. "This woman's beauty has warped your judgment, and lust has corrupted your thinking. You are used to having your way with the women of Israel because they have been afraid of you. But here is a Jewish woman, and she will not give in. Now, tell me what tree you saw them under." "Under a large oak tree," he answered. Daniel said, "All right, that lie will cost you your life. God's angel is waiting with his sword in his hand, ready to cut you in two. Then we shall be rid of you both." That all people shouted and praised the Lord, who saves those who put their trust in him. They turned against the two judges because Daniel had proved that they had lied under the oath. The law of Moses states that people who give false testimony will receive the same punishment that the accused people would have received. And so the two judges were put to death, and the life of an innocent woman was saved. Susan's parents, her husband, and all her relatives praised the Most High because she had been proved innocent of the charges. From that day on, Daniel was held in high regard. So as you can see, back in the old days, back in ancient times, the judicial system worked a lot different than in these days. In these days, they play with a great line. But the Lord, Jehovah Hashem Yahushai, our Father, creator of all heaven and earth, is it's black and white. If you did this, this is the punishment you could receive. Can't wait to read that, to go back to those days. Okay, and I want to identify for we're going to talk for precepts of 4 different issues that we cover into these this story, this chapter. There's quite a bit of precepts to cover this. So let's go to the blue line, the blue Bible. First precept I want to find is Genesis 5:21. Let me see. Genesis. Five and 21. Oh, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy. Let me adjust this. All right, 5 and 21. Yeah, 5:20. Neither shall thou. This is from the 10 Commandments. Let me read all of them. Let's see. I want to read all of this because the point is in 21, but we're going to go with, I'm going to start from Deuteronomy 6. I am the Lord, thy power, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. There shall not make any graven images or any likeness of any kind that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth below, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord, thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. The elect, the hopeful elect, but it's the elect. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy power hath commanded thee. And we know here that in this wicked Babylon, they changed the Sabbath day to Sunday, and it's not prescribed as the 7th day, which is identified according to the new moon. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of the cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservants may rest as well. And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out of thence through mighty hand and by stretched out arm. And therefore the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath. Honor thy father and thy mother as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay? And that's one of the issues that we're addressing. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not desire thy neighbor's wife, neither shalt thou convert thy neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's. That pretty much covers three of the issues that I'm bringing up. Okay. Exodus 20:17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And we know back in the old times, Esau, Edom, was very covetous to the Israelites, to their land, to their women. Anytime the Israelites created things, most of the tools that the slaves used to better their lives, uh, Edomites, Edomites stole it and claimed it because the slaves were slaves, or they took it that their property, made it so it was their property. And so there's a lot of inventions that were invented in those times that the slaves did. Esau has claimed, even to this day. Mortify therefore your members upon which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affections, evil concupiscence, covetousness, which is idolatry. I'll start with 3. For ye which are dead, your life is hid with Hamashiach and Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. When Hamashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affections, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is adultery. For which things sake, the wrath of the Most High cometh on the children of disobedience. Let's see. First. Point is in 10. Salaki. I'm watching my dog. He's sleeping, jerking, doing the funky chicken. Benny, wake. Whenever he does that, I wake him up. In 1 Corinthians 6-9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, which is covered, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous. Let's see, I want to say that right. I always kind of chop it up. Can I click on this word?
Covetous.
Covetous, okay. Sometimes I chop it up. Neither thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Oh, did I? Okay. What is wrong? Trying to get Deuteronomy 5:18. Deuteronomy. Okay, it's maybe go a long way. Okay, and thou shalt not commit adultery. And okay, I already read that. All right, and those are that precepts were covered covetousness, coveting, but you can see the Bible is connected. So, there's so many things in here that means or that addresses the same issue. Address adultery. But he that said, do not commit adultery, said also, do not kill. Now, if thou committest no adultery, yet if thou kill, then thou become a transgressor of the law. We read 10. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, and said also, do not kill. Now if thou committest no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law. So speak ye, and so do, as they shall do, judged by the law of liberty. Luke. Whosoever putteth away his wife and marrieth another committeth adultery, and whosoever marrieth her that is put away from her husband committeth adultery. That doesn't apply, but it addressed adultery. Doesn't apply to this situation. The man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and adulteress shall surely be put to death. That's point blank. There is no gray line. Because they have committed villainy in Israel, and have committed adultery with their neighbor's wife, and have spoken lying words in my name, which I have not commanded them, even now I am a witness, saith the Lord. And so, as we talked about, they committed adultery by even thinking about Matthew 5:28. 5:20 says, but I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a man and a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. So they've already committed adultery. Going with Matthew. Luke 16, 18. Okay. Jeremiah. Oh, I know that one. I already addressed that. Jeremiah 23:14. I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem an horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They straighten also the hands of evildoers, that none doth return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom and Gomorrah, as Sodom and the heavens thereof of Gomorrah. And so those two judges, they pretty much lied, committed adultery, and accused an innocent person. That's a just false witness. I got some precepts for false witness. So, okay. 27. 12. Why are you doing that? Psalm 27. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty, which is, what happened. This is Susanna's cry, because they were lying on her. Proverbs 19:5. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall not escape. Yeah. I'm going to read to 19. Many will entreat the favor of the prince. Every man's women. Let me see. I don't need to go. $19.5. Okay, now. Yeah, I need you to do that. I'm not going to need you to do that. That's not what I want. Exodus. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Let me see, Exodus 23. Yes, so 1. Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be unrighteousness witness. And the judges, that's exactly what they did. They raised a false report, and they were hand in hand with each other. They supported each other's lie, which made them both criminals, and they were put to death. Next, 6:13. And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and came unto him and caught him. He brought in the council, this is the point, and set up false witness, which said that this man casteth not to speak blasphemous words against the holy place and the law. Yeah, it was around the neighborhood, but it didn't address, this particular issue. Let's see what this is. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. Let me see. Man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword and a sharp arrow. What's a maul?
More.
Animal wound or animal by scratching and tearing. It's a wound. A person or animal by scratching. Oh, I see. Tear. It's like a tear. A man was mauled. So I see. A neighbor is a maul and a sword and a sharp arrow. In other words, someone that bears false witness causes these things. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go on to the last one I'm going to address is perjury. 7. Will you still murder and commit adultery and swear falsely and burn incense into Baal and walk after other gods whom ye knew not? Behold, ye trust in lying words that cannot profit. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent their deeds. Okay. Zechariah. A bunch of them. 8, 17. None of you imagine evil thoughts in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath, for all these are things that I hate, saith the Lord. Okay, it's the last one. I've already made. Out of her heart, for out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murderers, adulteries, fornication, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands defile a man not. Okay. All right, so in that small chapter was a lot that was, we had unpacked a lot, evil and wicked things that men do, that that those two judges was doing to try to force her to have sex with them. And so by accusing them falsely, according to the law of old, that they received the punishment that she was to receive. So I know it was slow, it was kind of long. There's a lot of precepts. Maybe I had one too many. And some didn't really fit the scenario like a glove, but I still wanted to bring it out. So I hope that you receive some edification. And before we go, and, I want to ensure that, remember, these are the last days that are getting closer and closer. Every day that comes and goes, it's a closer day to the Lord coming and delivering us out of this prison. So, why I would suggest or hope that you prepare your spirits for the oncoming prophecies. The crash of the dollar and the economy, the famine, which has already started to take place. Jacob's trouble, this is right around the corner. So prepare your soul for that. And which is going to include martial law. The MOTB, there's a lot of classes and instruction on MOTB, a lot of clash from false prophets trying to basically steal your soul, because if you don't understand what the MOTB is, you're not going to be properly prepared, and you're going to take that mark, and then you're going to pay, according to Revelations 14 and 10. Okay. So I pray that this class was acceptable to you. Stay prayed up. So we're going to close, and with that, say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kwame Yasharal, and the Bob of Bob. We got next. Okay, Lord willing. Shalom.